not the first time during elections or towards the election that we see Nigerian leaders or those who want to lead Nigeria appear at Chatham House. For the benefit of those who may not really know what that institution is for, it's a policy and governance development-oriented platform for people to come and speak to policies on a global stage. That is what the Chatham House is all about. So let's dig deeper into what Bola Tinubu said and some of the issues raised. I'm being joined tonight by a professor of political science, Zojide Ofo-Adibe. Thank you so much, Prof, for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Shel.
And one of the spokespersons of the Labour Party Presidential Campaign Organization, a lawyer and a rights activist, Mr. Dele Farotimi, he joins us virtually from Lagos. Thank you so much indeed, Mr. Farotimi, for your time tonight. Let me begin the conversation from Prof, and I'll allow our viewers to hear some other aspect of what Bola Tinubu said, which might also get us into the mood of knowing the kind of candidates some of those who want to lead us are and the choice that are presented to them. Prof, Chatham House, we basically understand that is an avenue for you to speak to the policies and governance and the issues. First and foremost, for those who have criticized Bola Tinubu's style, the party has said this is the style that he is wanting to adopt. Speak to the Chatham House concept and how Bola Tinubu presented himself yesterday. If you're to analyze it, how would you describe it?
Yeah, thank you very much. Let me first say that Chatham House is very respected, and I had the privilege last year in being part of a Chatham House organized conversation on the role of Russia in Africa. So it's a very serious along the lines of Brookings institutions in the United States. How did Bola perform? In my own opinion, he actually did well in terms of reading. If it was, I don't know if it was from a teleprompter, but you know, in contradistinction to what people expected, he read quite well, pronounced his words very distinctly. You know, when then he had to outsource his questions, I think there will still be reactions from the British press later, and I'm waiting for Economist and Financial Times. They're going to write something about it. Also, something that is cultural and environmental. For example, when he was trying to answer the question on why he didn't show up in local debates, he said, they want me, you know, I regard myself as highly marketable, and they want to use me to make money. You know, they to be regarded as arrogant in Britain, you know, arrogance to be able to say something like that. You know, every public official, by definition, is marketable, and that is why you are invited.
No matter who you are.
Once you are public, for you to be invited to Chatham House means you are marketable. To be a presidential candidate means you're a public figure. So I don't think he needed to say that, and you have to fix and link that to the way he spoke, you know, before leaving, or the kind of speeches that were associated with him. If you look at Atiku and the other three candidates, leading presidential candidates, one thing you cannot take away from them is that they are very gracious in speech. They hardly attack. They are surrogates, but they hardly use abusive words or dismissive words on opponents. You know, the Tinubu and the Shetima have a tendency to do that. Maybe they may take it as a joke, or maybe Shetima likes to see himself, you know, as a kind of orator, and but it doesn't come out where he reinforces a certain perspective of him. Does it really matter? Historically, debates do not affect the outcome of elections. But in the case of Tinubu, because of the rumors and speculations about his health and the fact that he decided not to show up, it increases people's curiosity. And the performance in the UK, I suspect when he comes back, I will not be surprised if I see a movement, you know, a pressure group pressuring that he must take part in debate. I won't be surprised.
Let me bring in Mr. Dele Farotimi. Mr. Farotimi, I know you are in the opposition, and the opposition, especially your party, have a view on these. What exactly is that view of Tinubu's outing at Chatham House yesterday?
evening again, Sheo, and good evening, Prof. Let me first of all say this. Yes, I am representing the Obi campaign, and you are right to say that I represent the opposition party. But the truth is sacrosanct, and it is the truth that one must tell at all times, regardless of what role one might be playing. The truth is that Prof has been extremely charitable in his assessment of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu's performance at Chatham House. It's been extremely charitable. The fact of the matter is, I believe it was 6 to 8 weeks ago in that space, that I do not expect Mr. Tinubu to attend any debate because I do not debate. The reason being that you can see already the cognitive climb that it can't be matched. To disagree, there were several moments where the words were slurred or mispronounced, but that is not the point. The point is this: a man goes on the world stage to present himself to the world as the next leader of Nigeria. You are expecting that the man should show himself at his best. He is auditioning to save a country that is on the brink of collapse. But what did he show? An inability to deal with the questions on his own. He had to delegate questions. You're delegating questions at your own audition in your job interview. You are asking other people to take it, and you are talking about some sort of collegiate. Look, in the immediate aftermath of yesterday, I went back to pick up General Buhari's performance at Chatham House in 2015, and I saw a highly lucid man who, compared to what I saw yesterday, must be a genius, a near Nobel Prize recipient in multiple fields, compared to what I saw yesterday. General Buhari took
Oh dear, we're losing audio with just a moment.
On his own,
okay.
With big go. He's
well,
incapable of
Mr. Dele, just for a moment, it looks so much that we're losing audio there. But let me allow Nigerians to also listen again to some of the sound bites out of that Chatham House engagement. Perhaps the other side that we did not play yesterday. Take a listen to this side and we discuss at the meat of what Bola Tinubu discussed yesterday.
The 2023 election will be taking place on the back of almost 25 years of unbroken civilian rule. That's the record. It is a record for the country which is worth entrenching and celebrating. Every election, wherever it is held, is important to the people or entity directly concerned. It is also important to the global democracy community, one area where the government of the All Progressive Congress, APC, distinguished itself is election management. Today, elections are more credible than ever since the return of democracy since 1999.
All right. So, Prof, you heard part of what Bola Tinubu was saying about the elections, and it was also when he was being asked questions as to the veracity of using technology and the questions on diaspora voting. So you heard some of those things that he said. Yeah. In terms of democratic values and civic duties and human rights and how Tinubu sees them, what do you perceive from his utterances and his responses?
In terms of diaspora?
In terms of diaspora voting, the concept of technology, use of technology, because he was saying that there are still few things that needs to be resolved in that area as far as the election is concerned, and issues of civil engagement and democratic.
Well, his position is the position of the traditional political establishment. But the truth is, diaspora voting, has become very ingrained in many countries. I think Kenya, Rwanda, and a few other countries. So it is something, just like people, when people started initially with the conversation about technology, remember it was contested and people were displeased. So increasingly that has to be perfected. His position on beavers and the fact that he said, oh, we don't want to bring in a complicated system when we have not perfected that. Well, I'm not sure it will play very well with the diaspora community. You know, no taxation without representation. They bring in this huge amount of money. Yes, there will be initial problem, just like we started with the technology and there were problems. And increasingly, we know that with beavers, you know, it will continue to improve. To just dismiss it because of the expected challenges and what people are talking about mailing, I'm not sure it will play out very well with the younger people, especially those in the diaspora. I also don't think it will play well when you dismiss technology like that with a society now where people are talking of fourth industrial revolution, fourth industrial revolution, Internet of Things, and the rest of them. And this is just basic technology that we are in.
I will ask Mr. Dele Farutimi, and I'll bring that same question back to you, Prof. This is a contest, and we must see it as such. A winner must emerge. As much as we want the person that will lead this country and resolve the issues, we can never take away the fact that this is a competition. And so we have to pick the best out of it. Now, well, you will say Peter Obi, of course, is the finest of all the candidates. But in Bola Tinubu's policy and the ideas that he presented, take away your dislike for his style and his presentation. Look at the policy and the ideas he presented to the world yesterday. What are your views?
Well, it is one thing for a person to roll out nice-sounding policies, ideas. It is quite another thing to have the capacity and the credibility to come through with it. General Buhari rolled out many nice-sounding policies. He had a lot of promises for Nigeria back in 2015. General Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu was right next to him making those promises, as was His Excellency Atiku Abubakar. They all chose this man and they brought all their ideas together, wrote a manifesto, beautiful manifesto, and they gave it to Nigerians. The one thing we have learned, if we have not learned anything else, we have learned by now that the APC cannot be trusted to keep its word. So we have to look to their record to have an idea of what they are likely to do. A continuation of APC and its policies, which Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu himself has told you repeatedly that is going to continue and build on the legacies of General Buhari. What we know is that poverty will be maintained and increased. Insecurity will be maintained and increased. The disparity in income will be maintained and increased. The ruling class would become richer, more powerful, more above the law, and the lot of the poor will become more excruciating. So, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu can say anything he cares to say. The fact is that neither the party nor the man has the credibility to make a dissection of what they have placed on the table a worthwhile exercise. It will merely be an academic exercise, and thankfully, it's Prof that is earning money from lecturing. Me, I just speak without being paid. So Prof might want to do a dissection based on essentially an academic exercise, but for me, it's a waste of time. I need to let Nigerians understand that the paper on which they've written the entire manifesto the manifesto is not worth the paper. They themselves are not, they don't have the credibility to stand behind what they have said. So I'm not,
Mr. Dele, let's wrap up now. The reality, Prof, I mean, you've talked about, I mean, you're an intellectual, and the fact remains that politics is in the realm of science.
Yeah.
Just in 30 seconds, How did you see this race? Has anything taken away or given to Bola Tinubu from that Chatham House event changed the direction of the race so far? Just in 30 seconds.
I think if Bola Tinubu has an opportunity of taking this to his advantage, the expectations now are so low that if he simply, the questions he will be asked are basically known. You can even plant people to ask questions. All he has to do now is to attend local interview and just perform about average, and he will have exceeded expectation. That was exactly what happened between Professor Jega, and Morisiu. The expectation was so low, it becomes so very easy to scale the hurdle. So with what happened, he can turn it into his advantage. Right. The other thing is that there are also verbal, non-verbal cues he's sending out. When he travels out with this huge entourage, we are talking about, reducing the size of government. And you're traveling with big entourage. That's something he has to look at. The next thing he has to look at is, under Buhari, we have highly garrulous spokespeople. And then you are having people like Kenyamo and Fani Kayode being extremely garrulous, cantankerous. The same thing we complained about the spokespeople in the Buhari government. He has to look into this.
We need to go now. Mr. Farotimi, just 10 seconds. How this race is panning out. Just 10 seconds. As a final.
I am of the opinion that the Chatham House outing should be sufficient for anyone who is truly interested in a rational analysis of the candidate. It's sufficient to see that this person is simply not able to do the job.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Dani Farotimi, for joining us. And Prof, thank you so much indeed.
Thank you very much.